All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. We're stepping into a seriously profound and honestly pretty surreal psychological mystery today. It's this fascinating narrative called The First Page of Maya, a story that completely blurs the lines between reality, spiritual exhaustion, and the fundamental nature of human desire. It asks some massive questions, but it wraps them up in this incredibly tense Twilight Zone-style package. I'm going to guide you through the twists and turns of this narrative, and we'll break down the profound concepts hiding just beneath the surface of the story. Ready? Let's get into it.
So, picture this. We start our journey right in the middle of our protagonist's deep internal crisis. They're sitting near a bustling hall during a Ganesha festival, completely surrounded by dancing, laughing, and celebration. Yet internally, they are experiencing total spiritual fatigue. They feel stuck in an endless loop, constantly failing, crying out for divine help like a child, and then immediately questioning whether that help even matters. They look at the celebrating crowd and just wonder, what is the point of all this repetition? Are we just eating ice cream every single day for no reason? It's a really powerful depiction of someone totally burnt out by the daily routines of life, desperately seeking a direct answer from the universe.
And right when that internal existential dread hits absolute peak, that's when things get weird. A mysterious, worn-out stranger sits next to our protagonist. He doesn't say much. He just rummages through an old bag and practically forces this bizarre object into their hands. It's a 10-page file, and the stranger simply says, "It's from the draw, and your name came up." But here is the bizarre detail. The first page of this file has a physical scratch card on it, right under the author's bio. I mean, who puts a lottery-style scratch card on a written manuscript, right? Indifferent but definitely curious, our protagonist takes the file home after the festival. Retreating to the safety and quiet of their room late at night, the protagonist finally opens the file, and they are met with these incredibly specific, almost demanding instructions. Get water. Get snacks. Do not turn the page until the first one is finished. And most strangely, you can only read, not take any action. It builds this incredible tense anticipation. The protagonist even tries to rebel a bit and peek ahead, only to find that all the subsequent pages are completely blank. It's like the universe, or whoever wrote this file, is forcing them into a very specific, locked-in experience. So gathering their snacks, they finally start reading the first page. Now here is where it gets truly terrifying. The exact second they start reading, there's a sudden, violent shift in reality. The bedroom just vanishes, the lights go out. Suddenly, the protagonist is trapped entirely alone in a massive, air-conditioned movie theater. They try to scream, but no sound comes out. They try to stand up, but they are physically glued to the chair, and those snacks they grabbed, sitting perfectly right next to them. On the giant screen, illuminated by a single beam of light, are three simple words: "Welcome to life." They aren't just reading a story anymore. They are literally trapped inside it, forced to be the sole audience member for whatever is about to play. As the atmosphere gets heavy and pulsing with anticipation, this rhythmic, tragic repetition of human lives starts playing out on the screen. First, a boy is born, lives an incredibly average, middle-class life, gets an average job, marries, and dies. But at the end of his life, a message appears. He begs God for money and excitement. So the scene resets. The next life plays. This time, he is born into massive wealth, private jets, huge businesses, fame. He gets everything the first man wanted. But when he dies, it reveals that he is begging God for a simple life and anonymity. He had everything, yet he wanted exactly what the first guy had. It's this endless pendulum swing of human dissatisfaction. To really drive this home, the tragedy of the third life unfolds. The timeline changes yet again. Now the boy is born into crushing poverty, struggling for a single meal. But he practices football relentlessly. He's discovered at 12, achieves international fame, immense wealth. He completely conquers the world. Yet as the timeline concludes, he dies unmarried and alone. His final plea? He begs God for simple love, a marriage and kids. He achieved the ultimate dream, yet ended up with an agonizing void. The protagonist realizes they are watching the exact same soul, just changing costumes, from poor to rich, athlete to scientist, but always ending up with an empty, unfulfilled desire. Okay, remember that scratch card? Well, after every single tragic realization, the protagonist is forced to interact with the file. At the end of every lifetime, the card at the bottom of the page begins to physically glow in the darkness of the theater. The protagonist scratches it, desperately hoping for an exit, hoping to finally turn to the blank next page. But it reveals a single, horrifying command every single time: repeat. And the cycle loops again.
The protagonist realizes they are held hostage. As long as the character in the vision remains dissatisfied and wants more, the protagonist cannot turn the page. They're trapped by another soul's endless black hole of desire.
But then, a crucial point arrives when a warning flashes. Be ready for the first page. After thousands of exhaustive, repetitive lifetimes, the pattern finally breaks. The cycle begins again, but this boy is different. He is quieter. He questions things internally. He isn't chasing wealth or fame or even a simple family life. He is just calm. He seeks truth, and most importantly, he chases absolutely no desires. That endless black hole of wanting what you don't have is finally closed. The protagonist watches as this life achieves ultimate peace, and the entire atmosphere in the theater fundamentally shifts.
Let's actually step back for a second and look at the core philosophy underpinning the surreal experience. The protagonist is getting a literal crash course in two profound concepts. The first is Maya, the illusion of the material world. All those desires for money, fame, and specific types of love, that's Maya. It's a trap that keeps you wanting more. The second concept is moksha, the ultimate liberation and bliss that only comes when you finally escape the illusion of Maya. The protagonist was forced to watch a soul exhaust itself entirely on the illusions of Maya, lifetime after lifetime, until it was finally ready for the true peace of moksha.
So how does this universe actually work? Well, the protagonist finally understands the mechanics of it all. Everyone is given a life with predetermined tasks. The goal isn't necessarily to win at life. The goal is to experience all possible varieties of illusion until you literally grow entirely tired of repeating them. You have to become completely empty of worldly desires, what the text calls a walking corpse, serving no worldly purpose. Only then do you achieve moksha and leave the maze. And the kicker, if your soul ever gets curious again, boom, your memory is wiped and you are dropped right back into the start of the maze. Everyone, regardless of their path, eventually completes their assigned roles.
Having finally grasped this massive cosmic truth, the protagonist looks down. A new scratch card is glowing. It says, "Read the author." So they reach up to the top of the file where that author's bio scratch card has been waiting since the very beginning. They scratch it off. And the narrative mystery box snaps shut with a totally mind-bending twist. It reveals their own face. No way, right? The protagonist didn't just stumble upon this file. They are the architect of their own spiritual test. They created this trap to force themselves to understand the nature of their own exhaustion and the endless cycle of their own desires.
The exact second they realize they are the author of their own test, the atmosphere entirely shatters. The theater just vanishes. The protagonist violently snaps back to reality. They are sitting exactly where they started, right in the chair near the festival hall. A simple-looking man is standing over them, gently waking them up, saying, "Please have dinner. We're getting late. Welcome to the nicest dinner show." It is incredibly disorienting. It leaves both the protagonist and us wondering, was the entire file just a dream, some hallucination brought on by sheer exhaustion, or was it a genuine, terrifying glimpse behind the curtain of existence?
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. The story leaves us with a lingering sense of mystery, for sure, but also a deeply personal challenge. Think about the loops in your own life. You know, the desires you keep chasing, thinking they'll finally make you happy, only to find yourself wanting something else the second you get them. Are you actually awake to the reality of your life right now? Or are you just endlessly scratching a card that says repeat, trapped on your own first page of Maya? I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought to ponder today. Take a hard look at your own desires and ask yourself how many times you're willing to repeat the cycle. Thanks for learning with me today.